Hi guys, you're going to remember today as the beginning of a completely new phase. We have been going through that for quite a while, and many of us started to feel that brewing. So what's happening today? Quite a few things, very important things. Okay, so let's start with Taurus new moon. So slow and steady and earthy, that kind of like would be the Taurus way, right? But trust me, not this year. So let's see what's different. First of all, each year, as spring is in full swing in the northern hemisphere, we celebrate this new moon in Taurus. So new moons generally are a time of new beginnings and new possibilities. Taurus is Venus-ruled earth sign, which means the sap is rising and we got an urge to embrace all the delicious, sensual, fertile things Taurus brings. Just like in tarot, pentacles, kind of like the note, that kind of like earthy kind of feeling. So this new moon is not about planting seeds and waiting patiently for them to grow. And it's not about building security, but it is about beginning to prepare for the upcoming changes. Taurus changes, huh? It is kind of like pre-seismic activity before the foundational shake. Think about spiritual earthquake. So what is going to shake? This new moon launches more than just like usual, this 4-week lunar month, and we kind of like set our intentions and yada yada yada. It ushers in the game changing. That's basically Uranus enters into Taurus. So within hours of the new moon, this morning, Uranus moved into Taurus for the first time in 84 years. So that's an outer planet. And outer planets, if you ever checked your chart, they don't change as frequently, right? They kind of like always, however, shift big energy. In the 1930s, we saw the rise of Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and Mussolini, and also the Dust Bowl, when basically they shifted. And when Uranus moved into Aries of March 11, 2011, there was the magnitude 9.0 earthquake east of Sendai in Japan, triggering a tsunami, which killed thousands of people and causing the second worst nuclear accident in history. Uranus is very unexpected, and if you think that Mercury retrograde is bad, multiply this with billion. Uranus is ruler of Mercury. And guess what? It's entering into Taurus. And Taurus is just not going to be as solid as it used to be. So this new moon doubles as a goodbye party for Uranus in Aries. Uranus is the cosmic rebel, awakener, and liberator. And it has been in Molotov cocktail kind of like throwing mode since basically he entered the sign in 2010. And all this disruptive, awakening, and liberating propensities are at the max and beyond as he wraps up his time in Aries. He'll be back later on in the year for an epilogue, but this moment is his grand finale, encapsulating what this past 8 years have been all about and blowing up remaining tethers to previous ways of being. So this is why the atmosphere has been so crazed and faster than fast-paced and littered with broken glass, lightning bolts, and kind of like new messages and epiphanies. Many of us are just like really waking up to this new world. And if you're listening this basically broadcast, you are walking in a much better world. You see, Uranus exit begins with a conjunction to Mercury. So Uranus and Mercury, oh my God, what can go wrong? So, which is the ruler of what goes into our minds and out of our mouths, as well as how we basically get around. It is the meeting of two cosmic tricksters, crazy uncle and willy nephew. They're kind of blowing our minds and exploding our perspectives, and amid that hubbub, birthing genius and innovation. So the planet's conjunction is exact was exact, better to say, on May the 13th, which kind of like just happened before this new moon, and is going to continue with a meeting by declination on May 16th, the day after today. So what can we expect? So besides the unexpected that Uranus brings our way, so expect this roughly 7-year influence to completely overhaul your approach to security and stability. All habits will be broken. Outdated values will be left behind. Whatever this new moon introduces will be the first rumble of the Uranus in Taurus earthquake. So the lady of this lunation is Venus, goddess of love and beauty, and she is the ruler of Taurus. That means we are going to start approaching beauty completely differently. It's not going to be same old, maybe freaky hair, maybe no hair. It's going to be the new kind of like black. So Venus is currently enjoying sort of like breezy era of Gemini. So kind of like even in a doubly so, because she's actually trading spaces with Gemini's own ruler, Mercury. And her Gemini mode lends flexibility and changeability. So those traits kind of may come in handy for managing kind of like the show at this party. Venus is also kind of like currently tripping beyond her usual path around the sun, and she's spending a few weeks in what the astrologers call out of bounds, quote unquote. So when she is out of bounds, she's much more sassy and more than happy to entertain mavericks and madmen. Oh my gosh, what can go wrong with all these nuclear weapons in the world? So this is actually the perfect timing, because Venus just started her kind of like flirting sextile with crazy genius Uranus. So imagine, so there is somebody crazy and there is somebody beautiful. So over the next weeks, that sextile will get stronger, and Venus will serve as basically Uranus' escort into her own sign of Taurus, giving Uranus the keys and helping him get acquainted with this new residence. So how deep is your love, guys? So this new moon trine Pluto also at the same time to top it all this, and that is resulting in intense and deep experiences. So sort of like the volume is cranked up to 11, maybe even to 20. So you will have greater power and influence over your own life, allowing for positive transformations. And I started monthly readings and already seeing this in the cards, so this is why I was sort of like compelled to actually release this. So you can also exert this power and influence over the events in your life and over the people around you. And it kind of like it goes for everybody. Imagine like sort of like all pulling in together for something possibly better. And personal or professional problems can actually be easily resolved right now. These kind of like harmonious aspects, you know, that can at least channel this intense, penetrating, and occasionally ruthless energy into something creative. Pluto, Scorpio, see the kind of like mix over here. So Moon trine Pluto will always carry the tinge of the underworld and will make powerful political statements. Art will be profound and involve deep exploration of basically shadow. Sometimes there is an obsession with exposing corruption. So this new moon will give us the opportunity to explore all the subjects. So we'll need to face the monster squarely and without the fear. So it's going to be a time of revelations, and it's kind of like going to be also kind of like get out of my way time. Because you see, another reason that this moon breaks from the leisurely Taurus norm, earth and steady and solid and slow, it is basically that her trine to action hero Mars. And that's going to be making us ambitious, to drive us to make things happen. And you know, the reason for this uncommon activity is an exact square from Mars to Uranus, agent of volatile, unpredictable change. So imagine we have like two agents of change. So Mars is entering Aquarius, and Mars is rebellious, and at the same time this Uranus, which is Aquarian sign, is entering Taurus, sort of like the other kind of like fixed sign. So it's just kind of like bringing nukes instead of the flower arrangement kind of a thing, right? So the changes can be very unpredictable, and they're like both sort of like at the max because they are in the last degrees of their basically signs. And there is something shocking about this, and I really feel, you know, buckle up. You know, major surprises, revelations, and light bulb moments, right? There'll be really tower moments and rapid changes, right? So it's going to be also clash. It's going to be high voltage and explosive. You're going to see the fur fly and kind of like get me to the bottom of the thing kind of a thing, right? This electrifying square is actually associated with instability, impulsiveness, rushed excitement, reckless action, sudden jolted reactions, revolutionary drive, assertion that shocks, boldness, impatience, anger, and blowing up, accident, being prone, tension, and ego drive. Welcome to being Aquarius. You're going to now, guys, get a taste of it, and then I am pretty sure after this nobody is going to take this against us, because you're going to see the burden we are saddled with. So this Mars-Uranus combo is a recipe for fast breaking action. You see, this square is a Mars aspect, so we get the doubling up of sex and speed, sometimes both at the same time. So speed sex, so passionate, fast, and furious is the style of it because of the square raging war. Squares are generally, let's say, challenges, and sort of like, at this case, could be basically war of the two James Bond 000 villains kind of a thing, right? But this is going to serve to conquer and modernize. And it's going to be probably a new world. Uranus can cool Mars a little because Uranus is smarter and it is older. It is outer planet, has a bigger influence, right? But Mars moves very, very fast and fierce. Because Mars's fast movements can actually stir up a refreshing breeze. So remember that even though this is a square, I don't think it actually creates violence or malefic intent. I think really more or less what to expect is impulsiveness. Impulsiveness can also be called playfulness, and playfulness is great to kind of like shake up the things. You see, those touched by this new moon will need freedom of movement. This aspect is a risk taker and racer. It feeds off adrenaline and has very little patience. It is a revolutionary and can easily rouse a crowd to act with speed and efficiency. Mars in hard aspect to Uranus, it is so electrically charged. It works like a power battery, so it can really inspire and enthuse others in action. So also when Mars square Uranus, it kind of gives a tendency to act rashly without regard for the consequences. So that can kind of lead to disruption and somebody trying to drive in a one-way street in the opposite direction. And it can increase risk of danger and, you know, even violence. So an original outlook may lead to works of creative brilliance or scientific breakthrough. But as I said, it boils down to being impulsive, and maybe we should involve impulsive action and just go out of our way not to take dangerous risks. So lack of attention, concentration can always lead to accidents. So driving, be careful when driving for the next 7 years. So I guess all of us are going to either destroy or really repair our driving records, right? Also technology. So just think about this major Mercury retrograde, which I have been feeling from the beginning of this year. It just like never stopped. So softening this action. So if you think this kind of like was already forming that big nuclear like mushroom, right? So this new moon comes with a luscious trine between beneficent Jupiter in intense Scorpio and transcendent Neptune in Pisces. So that pair kind of like links the deepest and the highest parts of our beings. So we see when Jupiter trines Neptune, I think it's going to reach the full potency on May 25th. It is encouraging hope, generosity, and community spirit, right? It's kind of bringing the best out of us, demanding the best out of us, right? We might take a spiritual quest to seek the truth, as kind of like our personal value system or morals will definitely reach a higher standard. We will not go for people insulting other people because of the race, because of, you know, their looks, because of their inabilities. We will find that selflessly helping others brings great satisfaction. And we are going to become very charitable, and I think environment is going to be very important as well as animal welfare. So yeah, if you haven't already, please adopt a cat and another cat if you already have one. Social justice is also going to become important, and not in a way that you tell somebody off, either on my channel or any other channel, because nobody changes when, you know, people are cruel. But social justice, more or less, is going to talk about human rights and kind of like understand the plight of refugees and other innocent victims of war and greed. People are going to see things for what they are. So let's pull it together. So it is kind of like catalyzing, it is disruptive, and it is basically propelling us into change. So this new moon is not our ordinary Taurus new moon beginning, let's plant a seed and kind of like grow. Yeah, planting seed is always good during the new moon in Taurus, but this new moon starts out in a controlled fashion, but everything will speed up and head in surprising directions. So this can be a surprise breakthrough or breakdown, and you won't have control over everything, but your intentions when you first start out will still be important. So let's set your intentions for the best results. Even if things develop in weird ways, it is vital that you focus on healthy and empowering changes. So in keeping with Taurus energy, and we can expect this beginning to have staying power, it is likely to be visible and physical because Taurus is an earth sign, and it's going to involve values, money, or resources. So if we have been working hard and we still didn't see results of that hard work, we are going to start seeing things and maybe realize that we have to approach them differently. So how to wrangle the energies? So set your mind and intentions for what you would like to have grow in this new terrain. So no falling back on the regular usual suspects, right? We are in a new phase and a new world, and that requires new approaches. So how about you try something that you haven't tried before? So that way Uranus is not going to force you into that. So what would make present time feel safe and secure, and what does present time make you want more of? I would say, you know, settle into your body and experience life through it, right? We have been through a lot to get here. Enjoy it. It doesn't matter how it looks. Just enjoy it. And consider what you want to manifest and what you want to free yourself from. Earth signs are all about making it real. And Taurus and Aquarius, that plays a role a lot this time around, are fixed signs. So even though there will be some kind of like teeth-rattling action and electric events, you're still looking at a long-term change. So I'm going to be doing the reading sign by sign and set intention and tell you in which kind of direction to kind of look into. And I'm going to do this live. But for now, I love you, and you can check for my readings on my website, www.cattarot.ca. Love you. Have a wonderful new moon in Taurus.